Hi, I'm Gary White for Central Kentucky Television, here with Lizzie Spalding at the Marion County Extension Office. And today we're going to be making a fall harvest salad.
Yes.
It's October, it's autumn, fall, right?
It is.
So this is perfect. I think we had made a spring harvest salad before, right?
The spring harvest salad is one of my favorite. This is one of those plated up Kentucky Proud recipes. I really like the spring harvest salad. I make it a lot. I eat it at home a lot. It's really good. And so whenever we got the new recipe card for the fall harvest salad, I was like, oh, yay, I get to make this again for the fall. So
Great.
I've already made it a few times this fall season, and it's really good. So I
Good.
thought I would
People are liking it,
share.
huh?
Right, they are.
And it's a plated up, which means it's a healthy alternative to some other things that are out there, right?
Right, and it also is using Kentucky Proud produce, so things that you can find locally.
Fantastic. So let's start making the fall harvest salad.
The first thing we're going to do is you're going to use 5 cups of leaf lettuce. So we've got our leaf lettuce here, and I have got 2 different types to use, and we're just going to alternate those 5 cups between those.
Okay. So a leaf lettuce.
Leaf lettuce.
Is that when you go to the store, you actually find leaf lettuce?
Right.
Or, okay.
You can tell it's not rounded. It's actually, we'll often use the leaf, so that's where it gets its name. And leaf lettuce is most people get it as a spring crop because it grows in cool weather, but you can also grow it like most spring crops in the fall.
Okay. So those shoulder season kind of vegetables.
Right. And I'm not going to cut those, I'm just going to tear it into pieces.
Okay. And we're going to make 5 cups, did you say?
We are. Generally, if I was at home, I would not measure this. I would just put it in. But since it calls for 5 cups for TV purposes, we're going to measure that in there. So we've got our 1.
And one thing, too, when you're talking about 5 cups, do you just stick the lettuce in? You don't, like, squish it down and try and get it in there, right?
Right. No.
Right, okay. Because you don't want to ruin the leaves, I guess, right?
Right.
Okay. So that actually isn't a whole lot, then.
But once we get it all in there, it'll be
Yeah.
quite a bit.
It's just
And
that
there's
nice green.
different types, right? Like this is green, the green leaf lettuce. But also, I like to mix the 2 because of the color. Just looks prettier. We like to eat pretty food, whether we realize it or not.
Right.
They also have the red leaf lettuce, which is the same thing. It's just got different coloring on it, but it looks nice in the salad bowl. Especially, I thought, for fall,
Right.
this looks really good.
Now, can you get red leaf in the spring as well?
You can.
Okay. Because it looks very autumnal.
You want
Do you
to
like that?
look and get your outside leaves because you can see these are kind of damaged on the
Okay.
edges. So
Now, too, when you buy lettuce at the store, can you assume that it's been cleaned, or should you always
you
clean it?
should always clean it. I wash everything, even produce that I get that says it's been pre-washed, I still wash, just because I want to make sure it's good and clean.
Okay.
But especially lettuce, you want to wash at home because dirt can get down in those leaves, and you want to make sure you get that out.
Okay. And when you're washing it, I know there are different things out there to help you clean lettuce or any kind of fruit or produce or what have you. Do you suggest one of them or just regular water?
Just, you can use whatever you have, but regular water works fine.
Just make sure it's clean.
Right, you just want to make sure that you get down in between those leaves and rinse that out.
You don't want to be eating any bugs and dirt.
No, you sure don't. Or serving that to your guests.
Yeah, that might be bad.
4, and then we're going to do our final cup here. You can see I'm tearing that into big pieces. You can shred that as big or as small as you want. I just like to tear instead of cut because you know when you cut those leaves, they get kind of wilted. It just, the longevity of it looks better if you tear lettuce leaves.
And it does look nice with the green mixed with that red, too. I like that. Good choice.
You like that, didn't you, Gary? That's what
Absolutely.
people don't realize that they like to eat pretty food. I tell people
Exactly.
that.
And see, this is a good tip because it says just 5 cups of torn leaf lettuce, but make sure you consider maybe adding some red to it.
Right, you can use the green or the red.
Absolutely.
They don't taste any different. It just
How about
adds
nutrients
some
difference since it's
color.
red?
The purple produce does have some different nutrients than those dark greens, but since this is lettuce and it's a dark leafy green, it's gonna have those.
Similar stuff, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
in
It just
there with
looks
it.
good.
So we have got our lettuce out.
Okay.
And we used 5 cups of that. Now the next thing that we're going to use is spinach.
Okay, I like spinach too.
And we're going to use 2.5 cups of spinach. So we've got that here. And as you can see, some of these pieces, they're different sizes, but they're kind of big. So I usually tear those too when I put them in there, just so you get a smaller bite.
Do you like
But
spinach?
you don't have to do that. I do like spinach.
Do you like it cooked?
I do.
So do I. Some people aren't a fan of that.
I like most vegetables any way they're
Prepared.
prepared.
So we're getting 2.5 cups of the
Of the
spinach.
spinach, right. So we've got one there.
And spinach is, again, something you can get in the spring or fall? Or is it primarily a fall? We know we can get it in the fall.
Right, you can.
It makes you good and strong, just like Popeye. That's why he would eat it.
Right. And then you have the other types of lettuce like kale and different things like that too that are available in the fall. And we
Okay.
have some plated up recipes for that as well.
Now, I believe there is a website that you can go to for these different recipes now as well. I think when I was talking with the Dana over in Nelson County, she was mentioning that the Plated Up has a website too. So maybe you want to go onto your search engine and look up Plated Up, and maybe you can get a copy of them online somehow, or go to UK, or of course come down to the extension office here or in one of the counties where you are, and you can find these recipes online as well, because they are really good. How often do they come out? Always something new seasonally? Or?
They do come out seasonally. Like I said, this was, they have a date on the back. So as you can see, this was
Okay,
September
September.
2014, so this was a new fall recipe that we
Okay,
got. And we got a
super.
couple other different new fall ones.
Yeah, and it's always nice to use what's actually being grown locally,
Mix that around.
so you can actually support some of the local farmers, but also it's always nice to have local healthy produce. Okay, what's next?
Now the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to chop up our apple and our pear, and we're going to put a little bit of lemon juice on those.
Okay,
And then we're going to add that to our mixture. Now the reason that we're going to put that little bit of lemon juice on there is just to preserve that coloring.
right, so that doesn't, oh, I thought you were putting this in front of me to do something else. Oh.
It's like, well, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I'll cut a finger off if I try and use a knife.
And I
Oh,
have
wow.
washed our apple. And it just says 1 medium red apple, so you can use whatever kind
Oh,
of
look at
apple
that.
you want. And I'm going to leave the peel on this. You could peel the apple or leave the peel on it. I'm going to leave that on there just because, one, the vitamins and nutrients that are in that peel are good for us, but for two, it'll just look
Right.
pretty in our
That looks
dish.
very nice. Huh, that's pretty neato. I like the peel left on the apple anyway. Gives it a nice, different texture.
It does.
And like you said, for the lemon juice, that's more to keep that
Coloring.
color of the apple so it doesn't brown. Now, when it browns, it's not actually bad to eat. It's just a
It's
coloring.
just where the air has hit it.
So it doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad.
Right.
You may want to inquire as to how long those apples have been there, but you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad. And that's another visual thing. If you see a brown apple, you might be like, oh, that won't be as tasty. But if you add that citrus, it helps.
And you can chop those up as finely or as large as you want to.
So this thing you use, what is that, core?
It's an apple core and slicer. Those are handy little gadgets. Saves a lot of time if you're not going to peel the apple, especially.
Right. And you said you can use any kind of red apple.
Right.
that you want. What is this that you're using? Looks like a Red Delicious,
It is not a Red Delicious.
but it's not.
It is not.
Actually, the coloring's a little different there, isn't it?
You know, and I picked it up and I looked at the name because I knew you were going to ask me that. And I don't
Macintosh?
remember what it was. It wasn't a Macintosh. It was something I hadn't heard of. To be quite honest with you, I'll tell you which apple I picked up because I only needed one. I went and looked at the apples and picked the cheapest apple per pound that they
Oh,
had.
there you go.
So,
That's a good way to do it. It's cheap apple.
it's cheap apple.
And apples, too, are a fall fruit. right? They
Yes,
actually,
fall and winter. Mhm.
so that's something you potentially could get locally as well from if you know somebody who grows apples. Or if you have an apple tree in your backyard or something, you can kind of maybe utilize that as well. But again, using local product is the best option, as much as you can. So do you like red or green apples better?
I like both.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Red Delicious, but I also really like Granny Smith apples, so I
Really?
like both.
They're very different.
They are very different. Just depends on what kind of mood I'm in,
Mm-hmm.
whether I'm feeling sweet or sour.
Well, I don't think you'd ever be sour. But that's supposedly good to bake with, or Granny Smiths, right?
I actually used some Granny Smith apples this morning to make pumpkin apple muffins. Now that is a recipe that we made last fall. You
Right,
remember
I remember
those?
that. Actually, I do, yes.
So I have used both red and green apples just today.
So good. How about pears? Are they a fall?
They are, and same thing with the pear. Picked up the cheapest one. So, you know, you could people have their own preference, but
Now, is that when you don't keep the...
I am going to peel this. Yeah.
Not a huge pear fan.
You know, I'm not either. That is one thing that I don't really care for, but is good in the salad.
Yeah,
So you may like it, Gary.
that's right. Maybe fantastic. We used to have a pear tree in our backyard, and my dad loved pears. We'd go out there and eat one. And they were green on our tree when they come into season or whatever. We had a pear and a plum and an apple tree. And a grape arbor.
You should have gotten lots of fruit as a child.
Mm-hmm. For a while we had a garden, but then that became yard. After it became so much work. See, there are benefits to being the youngest sometimes, because when my older siblings were younger, there were a whole bunch of them that could do different stuff. So by the time I was around when I had to do stuff, my dad's like, well, they're not here anymore, so this is more work for me, so let's get rid of that. So I didn't have to do it.
I understand completely, Gary. My dad used to have a dairy farm, so I missed out on that. Darn.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
You're going to chop up your pear and put that in here as well.
So it's one pear.
It's a
right?
medium apple
Medium.
and then a medium pear.
Pear,
So.
okay.
And then it doesn't specify type, so you can use whatever your own personal preference is.
Exactly. I don't even know. I guess there are different well, obviously there are different kinds of pears, but I can't even name you a different kind of pear. That'd be an interesting trivia question.
I do
You know,
believe this is a Bradford pear.
Bradford. Okay.
I did remember what
Okay.
kind I picked up on that.
Huh.
But the apple was something I had never heard of, so I can't remember the name of it.
Bradford pears have pretty flowers, don't they? Bradford pear trees. I think that's the ones that they had problems with the ice storm, and they're actually kind of weak when they had a lot of ice up in Lexington and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, I think they had pretty white flowers. Now you also make sure you get all those seeds out, right?
Right. We got a little bit in here, so I'm cutting those out.
Again, we're making the fall harvest salad. It's a plated up recipe, and you can get a copy of it from any of the extension offices here in Marion County and Washington County, Nelson County, or anywhere around the state really. Or you can go online to the UK and try and look up uk.ag/FCS and get some more information on that. And we're using a lot of products that you could potentially get locally. So if you do decide to do this, please do consider that, because the local farmers need your support. Okay. So
And
we
we're
have
going
that
to
chopped
put
up.
in 4 teaspoons of lemon juice in that. And once again, like I said, that's just for the coloring. Got our lemon juice here. We're going to put in our 4 teaspoons of that, and then we'll mix those around.
And just keep the coloring the way you want it.
Especially if you're going to make this salad ahead of time to take it somewhere. You're not going to want those to turn. So
No,
we're
as you
just
said,
gonna
we're
mix
doing
that.
this at the beginning of fall, but you could actually use this anytime throughout the fall. And it might even be a great side dish for Thanksgiving.
Right, that's what I was thinking whenever I pulled this recipe out, because it does have all the colors in it, and we're gonna put the pears, the apples, we're gonna put some walnuts in here, some cranberries. So you're getting a lot of different flavors, and some of those are those Thanksgiving flavors we're used to, but you can eat it in a salad instead.
Right.
So it's a healthier option.
Lots of different colors, which are nice too.
So we're gonna put those on our salad.
How many people does this actually serve?
It yields 8 1-cup servings, but I have used this to serve, one recipe to serve like 12 to 15 people. It just depends on how much
You put in?
you put in. If whether you're going to give them like a little taste or a big bowl of it. Just depends on how much you serve. Like I said, that's a 1-cup serving. So.
Because it looks healthy.
Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do, we have all that in, is we are actually going to make a dressing to put on top of this.
Okay.
So